But truly, one of the biggest ones is I've been in this masculine energy for so long that I have lost my identity. Like, I really feel like a damn man.
Because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not one woman, brother. A whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No.
That's what I have to look forward to?
But I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and having to take care of herself all at the same time. The black woman has been...
Hey, welcome back to Black Press. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Now let's get to it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I'm your boy, Mr. Define.
I'm your girl, Shish.
And we are Black Press. If this is your first time to the channel, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications for our future episodes. If this is the second time to the channel, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. If this is your third time to the channel, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications for our future episodes. So we're going to get right to it. I mean, Dr. Umar Johnson has always been doing controversial messages and communications. And we're going to talk about this issue that has been on the black male's tongue for like 2 or 3 years now, which is female masculinity. And why is it? What is it? So just to spark it off, let's see what Dr. Umar said.
With children
Why is she masculine? Because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not one woman, brother. A whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men? That's what I have to look forward to?
But I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and having to take care of herself all at the same time. The black woman has been the be all in all in our community for half of a century, and now we want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough where she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own. That's insensitive and
it brings up some good points.
Yeah,
it brings up some very good points. Shout out to the Wrap It Up crew. That's who that show is from, and shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson for always bringing great information to talk about.
Yes.
But then we got words from obviously the most, as some would say, described masculine woman in the game that goes toe to toe with pretty much everybody. Ebony K. Williams, and she gonna explain why. And then I'm gonna put my spin on it because I got some things to say about this. That might not have been thought about.
In skirts. I look as feminine as possible because I am trying to overcompensate. I'll own it. I'll be vulnerable. I am trying to visually overcompensate for what I know is a default masculine posture that I walk through the world with every day. Of course I do. You see my taxes. No, I mean, but for real, you know, I got a payroll, you know, and so when you are leading in this way, when you are providing not just for yourself, but for those around you, your whole community, how are you not masculine in your energy, right?
Yeah.
But to Melissa's point, most of the women I know, especially the black women, we would love if we didn't have to.
Woo.
What people don't realize.
Be soft and pink.
What'd you say?
I want to be soft and pink.
Correct. Yeah. What most people don't realize is that most masculine women are masculine by mandate, not by choice.
Yes.
We're masculine because we have been made to be. Yeah. We're masculine because if I don't go qualify for this mortgage, if I don't put these kids in the best schools, if I don't really make sure that my neighborhood is safe for me and my children to walk down, it won't be safe.
Pretty much. They're saying the same thing.
Yeah. But as she said, it's mandated. It means the man set it in place on certain dates.
Devil which man?
It could be your father, it could be your baby's dad, whoever you choose to be your significant other.
No, it's the white man that set that into place.
Well, yeah. You dig deeper.
Because, I mean, the women had to do it, or women weren't able to do it back then because women's suffrage hadn't come about. So black men had the right to vote, even though we were still under Jim Crow. So we didn't actually we weren't able to actually vote, but we had, quote unquote, the right to vote.
Yeah.
Women couldn't own anything. Women couldn't, like we talked about in a different episode, couldn't put their name on a mortgage, couldn't, pretty much do anything without being with a man. So they stayed with the man out of necessity. And that was just when we were trying to actually get to own things. Before that, we couldn't own nothing anyway. I mean, everybody was just trying to own a shack, trying to get some land without it getting taken away by the racist white community that it was close to. I.e. Tulsa. And other Green cities. Greenwood. Yeah. And then Rosewood was in Florida.
Yeah.
But I think it's something different. Because I don't think the woman, I don't think the black woman was ever actually soft.
I mean, when you get beat into a certain, but seriously, when you get beat into like a certain type of submission, there's certain things that you do in order to survive.
Yeah.
So you can portray yourself as being soft, but there's a hardness to that because you're neglecting the parts of you that make you strong in order to seem docile and like how they want you to.
Right. So, but the way that you say to seem docile would actually agree with what I'm saying, because that means she was only playing the part when inside she's actually tough.
So you think I don't.
But let me. I gave the pause because I wanted to see what your response was going to be. But let me break it down a little bit. Let me break it down a little bit, because I've said this before. When the woman was not able, the black woman was not able to be a feminine woman since the day she got put on the boat to come across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Because since that moment, she was someone else's property. She was done with how that person or that master saw fit. She had to carry the baby and work the field.
Yeah.
And then she had to be impregnated whenever the master chose. Since the emancipation, the black woman has still never been soft, because especially not for the black man, because why would I be soft to you when you weren't there to protect me from the white slave owner? I can never be submissive to you because you have always been submissive to him for as long as I've known.
Yeah.
So why would she submit to somebody who has to submit to somebody else that's lesser than God? It's supposed to be God. It's supposed to be God, man, wife, child. But since slavery happened, it's been God, white man. And then since we stepped foot off the boat, black man and black women have been on the same level, on the same playing field, because they're both subject to the white man.
Yeah.
So the woman would not submit to another black man who is also having to submit to a white man. You're the same as me, Negro.
Yeah.
And then when we look at the way things went, black men and black women were still at odds with each other, even right after slavery. There was still the reason that there was abuse, there was domestic violence in the household was because the woman and the black man and the black woman were always arguing, right? The black man was never able to learn how to communicate because he had to always say yes and no. Yeah. Right? So I never learned how to communicate verbally. And when I get attacked by the black woman, the only response I have is what the master taught me, which is respond with violence and force subjugation. But that never worked. So it was either the woman left or the man who chose not to violently make that woman submit, he left so as to not have to argue.
Like a runaway slave.
So yes, and he left so as to not have to argue with the woman that he cannot defeat verbally. So she was forced to do it herself because she never was able to submit to the black man because he was never an actual leader because he always had to submit to the white man.
Yeah.
So why would we ever be able to be on the same field and actually communicate with each other if you've always had to answer to him and I've always had to answer to him? So why not submitting to you? By the time black men were actually able to be able to vote and do and walk and be men, black women were on the same level.
So with that being said, do you think it's the black woman's responsibility to bring back the black culture? Because I say that because if a black woman has a child with any other race, black men too, the child is black, right? So we have the ability to carry the children. So can we not like repopulate and try to just try to repopulate and make it so?
You mean like try to get like a reset?
Yeah, like a soft reset. No, that's the only way, we'll be able to do it because if we put it in
the only way to do it.
Yeah, if we put it in the black man's hands, as some people would say,
it won't work. It can't work in the black man's hands because the woman has to actually be willing to switch over to the softness and still give the man time to. That won't work.
That's what I was saying. So the man and the woman, they're on the same playing field, right? Yes. So if you have two masculine personalities hitting back and forth, you have somebody has to be like a beta and somebody has to be an alpha. Right. So more than likely the woman is the alpha and the male is the beta.
Right. And you know what you know why the male, if you listen to, I'm telling you, and when I talk about this, when you listen to all of the marriages that lasted decades, the man has become the beta in order to sustain the marriage.
But truly, one of the biggest ones is I've been in this masculine energy for so long that I have lost my identity. Like, I really feel like a damn man for most of the time in this relationship. I have endured things that no woman should have to deal with when it comes down to things like protection. Imagine now, my son, one of them, teenage son, not 5 years old, teenage son, thought he was going to be in an altercation with another guy. I had no idea. He walks past his dad, he walks past his brother, and he says, "Mom, come with me. This guy is talking shit, and I want, I think it was his computer or something. He wanted something back." Without hesitation, I jump in the car. My gimpy, post-stroke surviving self jumped in a car to take this boy to meet this kid for a potential altercation with no hesitation. I drive him over there and he actually gets into a fight. Just think about that. In a crisis, in a potential situation of harm, his instincts is to seek me out, like to forego his dad or his brother, but seek me out. Like I'm the fucking goon in the family. I've been masculine for so long that we actually will go somewhere. I'll come out to the car and my husband and my son are sitting in passenger seats. Nobody's in the driver's seat. They're waiting for me. I've been in this masculine energy so long that I don't even recall more than 4 or 5 times, I'm 56, even talking about or discussing menopause or understanding that some of the emotional changes or the changes in my skin or all these different changes are coming from that. No concept of it. My brother-in-laws used to talk mad shit to me, just the most inappropriate, most vulgar things that they could say to me. And because I think maybe because of the military, likely, I would just talk shit back. But the fact that my husband allowed it in his presence for them to say the most deplorable things, the most disgusting, vulgar things to me, and him not feel the need to protect me from them, that's crazy. And it didn't even occur to me until my boys got older. Like, so we're talking about years. When my boys got like 8 and 11 years old and they were actually in the room and noticing this, that's when I spoke up. Because it occurred to me that my sons were witnessing the disrespect and how their uncles were treating women. And I didn't want that to be their standard. And when I approached my husband about it, he said, "Oh, well, you seemed fine and you were giving it right back to him. But were you fine with it, sir?" I've been masculine for so long, I'm constantly thinking about filters. HVAC filter, water dispenser filter, the air filters in the car. I was reading this whole list about if you've been imbalanced for so long, and I'm checking all the boxes. The self-care, that's for shit. The freaking burnout. The stress that I've been carrying and just the impact it has had on my physical body. Like, I walk around every day with a headache of some degree, literally every day. And sure, it may be related to the stroke, or the stroke is related to the stress, either way. I mean, when the kids were younger, I was doing both, putting Hot Wheel tracks together, building Legos, and also bedazzling dance costumes, cooking and cutting grass. So yeah, I'm fucking tired. And it's not just me jumping into these roles. My husband made space for me to be in these roles. He sought me out for some of these masculine roles. Like, literally, if there was something heavy to lift. Now, the 2 youngest are over 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, give or take. But he would seek me out. "Babe, come help me move the couch. Babe, come help me move the table." And if you're wondering, yes, even intimately. In the past, me initiating was a treat, but then that became the norm in this relationship.
Mm-hmm. The only way that the marriage can last is if the man lessens himself and allows the woman to assert herself. That's the only way that a marriage lasts.
So if that's how it's been set in place, there's nothing that can change that.
There is nothing that can change it.
So yeah, so how would the black man step up to be more masculine than a female without feeling that she's superior to him, and whenever she talks, she's cutting him down and feeling like she's stronger than him, basically, in certain senses?
There's one way that I've figured that it's possible, but it's extremely hard, and I struggle with it. The only way that can happen is if the man learns to say what is right without trying to overpower and make her do it. And only way, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The only way it can actually, the only way he can rise to a level of being the leader in her eyes is if she does it her way, finds out that his way was better, and then says, "Okay, he was right." And then it has to happen multiple times over and over, where the man says his part and then allows her to do it her way. And then eventually she realizes that his way was actually very consistently the better option or the more thought out option. And she actually starts to give in her own mind him the credit as a leader.
And I tell you why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because in women's mind, they have an idea of how it's supposed to go. A lot of times they act on feelings and emotions. And that's where they get you. Because when you act on feelings and emotions, you can easily persuade somebody or pull them in a certain direction. Versus the man, you can't. They think off of like
logic.
So they thinking off of logic. So you can't persuade somebody or pull them away from logic and fair
unless
reasoning.
You do it with what? With the woman.
Yeah, that's why we're being used as a weapon against black men.
Yeah.
Because of course black men are strong. They're stronger than the females. But they make it so since we're acting on feelings and emotions, they perpetuate like different scenarios to where it's more beneficial for us to act on feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
Because it gets us to where we need and what we want. Where it messes up is when it comes to the man and you can't pull from logic.
Yeah.
So
because logic is like math. 2 + 2 = 4. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care if you feel like it should really, 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 really be 5. It's still 4.
Yeah. So,
but I like 5. It's 2 + 2 is still 4.
Yeah. So men in a way are stubborn.
Yeah.
Not stubborn in a negative way, but men in a way are stubborn.
Because I'm still thinking it's 4.
They can't change you guys.
Yeah.
So in order to weaken y'all, they have to use us, which is our feelings and emotions, and they can tug at us, and we can change our mind from logic, as you say.
Yeah. And but what's been happening so often is the woman is like, well, I can't get him to change.
Yeah.
And I can't get him to change and he's strong on that, or he's already weak. Because now we have generations of men who have grown up without a father there to help them learn how to be logical. And now he's too weak to actually be the man that can stand strong.
That's why it's important for males to find like role models
and leaders that
And when it comes to like females being a weapon, we're not to say like we're easily manipulated and
just the way you think.
Yeah, but because think about it, when it comes to like your kids, say your kids, you want to raise them a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Society says you have to do everything, give them everything they need. But in a dad's perspective, they're gonna be like, they only need the basic necessities and that's it.
And then they need to earn the rest.
Yeah. But society will make you believe like they need these things in order to succeed.
Yeah.
And if you're not giving it to them, then there's a deficit.
Yeah.
So then you bring that to your husband and you're like, okay, I think he needs like a computer to come in the house so it can better help him with his homework. You're using logic and reasoning and saying, nah, he doesn't need that. He needs to stay in those books and study.
Yeah.
But the computer's going to help him.
Yeah.
Why are you fighting me on this when it sounds reasonable?
Yeah.
But it's not, because these computers that we're placing in our household they have ads that pop up. They have things to
divert the child's attention to something else other than what he needs to be able to learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're exposing them to a lot more.
Yeah. Like plenty of times I bought my our oldest the laptop to learn coding, and I kept coming in on him and he's watching YouTube.
They make these
on the laptop that you're supposed to be doing coding on.
Yep. They make these fun videos and stuff. So as a mom, you're not thinking, you know it's there, but you're not thinking. You're like, okay, that stuff is there, but the main tool that they have is the computer to learn.
Yeah.
But you're like, they don't need that.
The distraction is
And that's
when
where-
it becomes more of a distraction than an actual helping tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where the discord comes,
Mhm.
because we can't see like
But we're still talking
the
about
deeper things.
we're still talking about their original sin.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so funny about it, because
The women bringing
we try to bring things away. Oh, this is modern time. We're
Yeah.
still working in the original sin. It's still she saw it was pleasing to the sight and good for consumption. Those are feelings.
Yeah.
Those are senses.
Mm-hmm.
When it's still God's word is don't eat of that.
Yeah.
But
And that's logic. That means no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She saw that, and then she brought it to the man, and then it's like, well, what do you think she had to do or say to get him to go against what God actually told him?
She had to.
She probably had to convince him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it plays over. It plays over. You got even before that. So after that, then you still got, Mary made not Mary, Sarah. Sarah made Abraham the first absentee father. Of what we know as far as written text.
Yeah.
She made him the first deadbeat dad.
Elaborate.
When she made Abraham kick Ishmael out, Ishmael and Hagar, when he had to send them away, and God told Abraham, you can send them away, I'm still gonna make a great nation out of them.
Yeah.
That was because Sarah did not like that Ishmael, the way Ishmael was being treated, and the way Ishmael was treating Isaac, Sarah's son.
Yeah.
So Sarah made Ishmael, Sarah said, you need to kick Ishmael and Hagar out of this community. They need to go.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do it. And God said, let him do it. Let him go, and I'll make him a great nation as well. But that Abraham was the first deadbeat dad.
Do you think God sides with the?
No, God does things for his glory and his purpose.
Yeah.
And it turns out all of that had to happen so that Jesus Christ could come back and save all of mankind if we believe on him. But that was, and then when we had judges, everybody knows Samuel and Delilah. It's just so many parts where, like Joseph could have ended up ruining everything had he laid down with the Potiphar's wife. But he was able to resist and he ran. But
not all men has that.
David didn't.
Yeah.
David went towards it. Seeing Bathsheba on the top of the roof bathing. And then, really the best example of a man and a woman is Mary and Joseph. That's why, and then it's like, okay, that's why they called her a saint.
Yeah.
Saint Mary, because she was actually willing to be submissive to the angel, to God's word when the angel came down and gave her the message. And then Joseph was actually submissive by taking Mary in, even though she was now pregnant with God's child. So Joseph and Mary were the way a marriage should work.
Yeah.
And then
forgiveness
Jesus
too is in there.
Yeah,
forgiveness.
Jesus is obviously the Messiah and our way to our salvation. But all of that is to say, like, that this stuff is we're dealing with so many things intertwined.
Yeah.
And if we don't recognize that we got screwed up from the time we were taken off of Africa, off the coast of Africa, we think we're trying to. It's like women. I don't think women realize that. I think that women
we're a weapon.
Yeah, weapons.
We are a weapon.
But also still subconsciously not able to respect the man that allowed somebody else to take us from our own country and subjugate us.
Yeah, that's deeply rooted.
That's deeper than most people ever talk about. Oh, it's like, because of slavery. Well, what about the way, like, you were supposed to protect me?
Yeah.
Have you seen that picture where the woman is yelling at the man who was just she was just assaulted by the master, and he was like, I couldn't, and she's
That's so
angry at
sad.
him.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing they can do.
That where were you? We were supposed to be your protection, but we couldn't protect you because they had something that we didn't, and they were able to subjugate us and you. And now I want you to listen to me and be subject to me, but I still have not overcome him.
Yeah.
That originally subjugated us. And then the last thing that they did when it looked like we were actually going to overcome slavery, they added the drugs. And it was not the first time that this has happened. The British did that to China way back. I forget the date. I think it was like the 1940s.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or the 1840s, where China was going down in their economy and in their system because everybody was doing opium.
Yeah.
And because of that, China decided to outlaw opium in the country. But because China was exporting so much tea, China was making money off the British, but the British wasn't getting any money back because China didn't need none from them. So that's when they started importing opium. They were able to get some money back by selling opium into China, but then China outlawed it, and that's when Britain went to war with China and took over China's capital for some years, like decades, I believe. That wasn't them putting drugs into our community wasn't the first time that they did that. That was a reenactment of what they did to China. Yeah. And China finally overcame it. Why do you think China's so mad at everybody? Because the last time we let y'all in, y'all had us subject to opium.
History always repeats itself.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over again.
But so the one reason why we can't, the other reason why we can't just get a new start, because that's the last thing I didn't talk about. Yeah. We can't get a new start in our entire community because we don't have enough control to make those that have already decided to live in that
mindset,
non-successful way, the mindset, right? So even if there was a large group of black men and black women that would do great and actually get our stuff together, we still have a large group of black men and women who are brainwashed to stay in the way of destruction and all of the drugs and money and cars and all that stuff and sex. So what we're doing actually, and this is what I think is going to happen, there's going to be not an actual species separation, but there's going to be an allopathic speciation where, or it might be peripheral. I think it's peripheral. Speciation where there's a certain group of black people that think this way, and then there's a certain group of black people that think that way, and we have a behavioral it's a behavioral way that prevents us from actually being able to get back together,
like an adaptation.
Yeah. So behaviorally, I don't speak Sexy Red's language. She don't speak my language. Therefore, we can never actually communicate to where we can be able to continue in a productive way of making more children that are actually successful, because we don't speak the same language. We don't speak the same language. We don't have the same behaviors. There's no way that we actually can have sexual reproduction because we don't. We're two different species, even though we're the same species. We're two different species, and that's what's going to end up happening to our community, and to the point where we will completely be divergent of one another.
Yeah, and in that group, it's too much manipulation going on.
Yeah,
and it's too many people that's falling under that spell.
Yep,
they don't know how to break loose. Yeah, and even when they know how to break loose and they know better, they don't do better because it's pleasing to them and it feels good.
And that's And that's what I don't like when we try to pretend like, oh, it's the system, it's the people that are they're making the music and that's contaminated. No, we're listening to the music, because if it's not us choosing to be brainwashed, that would mean we're less than.
Yep.
If it's the powers that be that prevent us from getting over the hump and that are feeding this negative music into our community, and it's their fault, that means we're mentally incapable of overcoming what they're putting into our community, which means we would literally be that would be admitting that we have the minds of children.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can say that the powers that be, the only way, and I'm gonna say it, the only way that we can say that the powers that be are controlling the music, and that is what is poisoning our community, is to say that we have the minds of children and are unable to overcome that power, and that is why we are less than what we could be, which means we can't control it. Now, either we're smart enough to overcome it, or we're not. I think we're smart enough and choose not to, which would actually kind of be stupid, because you're choosing to do otherwise of what you know would actually be beneficial to you.
Because they incapacitate themselves.
Yeah, because it's still feelings.
Yeah.
It
feels good.
It's harder. It's harder to go to bed on time and wake up early consistently and put in the work. It's easier to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning in the studio, call myself putting in work, but then stay up or then sleep in till noon and then do that over and over again. That's the work I'm willing to put in, because that makes me feel good. But it's not the guaranteed success that would be if I just went to school and put in that kind of work. We are capable. We're just choosing not to do it.
Just got to do better. But for real, on a serious note, as a Black community, we definitely have to do better. Like, the knowledge is out there, the ability to make that change is out there.
Yeah,
you have to.
You got to be receptive and open to it, because there's not.
It's a mindset thing. You have to change your mind. And you have to overcome different obstacles that comes in your life that blocks you from it. You have sometimes you have to have tunnel vision.
Yeah,
and stay on that path into success.
And that's the problem. Because I don't believe anybody that's made it all the way through school has not been told at least once that there's a better way. We are choosing to do it because it's hard. It takes too much work to do it the right way. It takes too much work. It's exhausting.
Even living right, like like living right is hard.
It's exhausting.
It's very hard. It's much easier than it's much easier to get in the lifestyle of how everybody's selfish and going out and in these
and it's especially easier if I can just blame the system. It's not the fact that I'm going out all the time or I'm spending my money. It's the system. Nobody ever taught me financial man. You know, if you ain't got but $10 in your pocket and you go spend $9 on the bottle, you ain't got but $1. You can't pay your bills with $1. That's not like financial literacy. We know how to add. We know what money is. We know what numbers are. It's common sense. Some of it is common sense. Now, when you start, the only thing that will be financial literacy is which areas of my finances affect my credit score. Because it's like, okay, a number of accounts open, debt to income ratio. You know, how many the length of your time that you've had on your accounts, how many late payments you've made, and all that stuff. That's some literacy when it comes to the credit score. But how much money you got in your pocket versus how much money you spending versus how much money you need to pay for gas to get to your job to work. That's not a financial literacy thing. That's a you knowing how much you need and you choosing to spend it somewhere else.
We have to stop the living paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. We have to learn how so there is some portions of that is hard for paycheck to paycheck, because if I'm not making enough to put any away,
Because you got to think about, because inflation has risen way faster than the minimum wages have.
But with that being said, a lot of us are living outside of our means, and we know it because you can't afford to have another child.
Yeah,
but you out there living life like it's free, and it's not. Then you get pregnant. It's like, oh, I got to go apply for WIC.
That's why
I got to go do food
that's
stamps.
Why they talking. That's really the big reason why they talk about my body, my choice, so I can live freely and do the things that are
it's
feel
costly
good to me. And then, but that's the whole nother. Hey, we talked about that one with Meg Thee Stallion. Go back and watch that video. But anyway, that was a lot. Oh my God, that was a big unload.
Deep.
That was a big unload.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the level playing field of man and woman? How it is impacted by the fact that we were brought over here on equal grounds in slavery? What do you think about the masculine woman? What do you think about what Ebony K. Williams said? What do you think about Dr. Umar Johnson said? What do you think about what we said? Share this video. I think that was a big unload. A lot of that stuff I've been thinking about for a long time. Just never had an opportunity or the right video to react to, or the right time to bring it up. Tell us know if you liked it. If you liked the conversation, add something to it. Don't take away. Hit the like button, share this with somebody. Comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'm your boy, Mr. Define.
I'm Gersh.
And we are Black Press.